The glass shattered against the kitchen wall. "Get out of my house now!" Marcus Bennett stood in the doorway, his whole body shaking. His face was twisted with rage. Veins bulged in his neck. A black woman stumbled backward, pulling a little girl off her shoulders. 2 more children froze on the counter, their singing cut dead. For 18 months, those triplets hadn't spoken. Not one word since their mother died. Doctors called it hopeless. But Marcus had just heard them laughing, singing, calling this stranger's name with more love than they'd ever shown him. And something inside him snapped completely. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button, click like, and tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. Now let me tell you how we got here. Marcus Bennett built his empire from nothing. 30 years ago, he was sleeping in his car in Brooklyn, $47 in his pocket. A borrowed suit that didn't fit right, and a dream that everyone said was crazy. His own father laughed at him. "Real estate in Manhattan. Boy, you can't even pay your rent. What makes you think you can buy buildings?" Marcus remembered that conversation like it was yesterday. Thanksgiving dinner, 1994. His father sat at the head of the table, shaking his head. "You're chasing fantasies, son. Get a real job. Work at the factory like I did, like your grandfather did." Marcus pushed back his chair and stood up. "No. Excuse me. I said no. I'm not going to spend my life working for someone else's dream. I'm going to build my own." His father slammed his fist on the table. "Then you can build it somewhere else, not under my roof." Marcus left that night. He didn't go back for 15 years. By the time he did, he owned more buildings than his father had seen in his entire life. He pulled up to that same house in a Mercedes. He wore a suit that cost more than his father made in a year. His father stood on the porch, older now, smaller somehow. "I was wrong about you," the old man said quietly. Marcus didn't feel victory. He felt empty. "Yeah, Pop, you were." That was 5 years before Victoria died. 5 years before everything that mattered crumbled to dust. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. By 52, Marcus had it all. Luxury towers from Midtown to the financial district. Office complexes. Shopping centers. His name on buildings that touched the sky. Forbes put him on their list. Business magazines called him a genius. Everyone wanted to shake his hand. None of that mattered now. None of it. Because Victoria was dead. He met her at a coffee shop in Soho, summer of 2001. She was a kindergarten teacher with paint on her fingers and a smile that stopped his heart. "You're in my seat," she said. Marcus looked up from his newspaper. "Excuse me. That seat. By the window. I sit there every morning. It's the only spot where the light is good for reading." "I don't see your name on it." She laughed. Actually laughed. Most people were intimidated by him even back then, but not her. "I'm Victoria," she said, sliding into the chair across from him. "And you're going to buy me a coffee to apologize for stealing my seat." "Is that so?" "That's so." He bought her a coffee, then lunch, then dinner, then every meal he could for the next 6 months. She didn't care about his money. She didn't care about his buildings or his deals or his growing empire. She cared about him, the real him, the kid from Brooklyn who still felt like an imposter in expensive suits. "You know what I love about you," she said one night, lying next to him in his tiny apartment. He hadn't bought the mansion yet, hadn't become the man on magazine covers. "What? You're hungry, not for money, for life, for meaning. You want to build something that matters. And what do you want?" She smiled and touched his face. "I want to build something too. A family, a home, something that lasts longer than buildings." They got married 6 months later. Small ceremony. Her parents, his mother. His father didn't come. For 23 years, Victoria was his partner in everything. She grounded him when he flew too high. She pushed him when he wanted to quit. She made their house a home while he was out conquering the world. And then she gave him the greatest gift of all. Triplets. 3, Marcus had said when the doctor told them. "Are you sure?" Victoria was laughing and crying at the same time. 3 babies, Marcus. We're having 3 babies. I don't know if I can handle 3 babies. You build skyscrapers. You can handle 3 babies. He couldn't. Not really. Victoria did most of the work those first years, but he tried. God, he tried. Lily came first. Named after Victoria's grandmother. She had her mother's eyes and her father's stubbornness. Grace came second. Named for Victoria's mother. She was curious about everything, always asking why. Hope came last. Named because that's what she represented. After 2 miscarriages, after years of trying, Hope was their miracle. 3 daughters, identical faces, honey brown curls and hazel eyes that looked like their mothers. Before the accident, those girls were everything. Lily recited nursery rhymes constantly. She memorized every book Victoria read to her, every song, every poem. The words poured out of her like water. Daddy, Daddy, listen, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. That's beautiful, baby. Again, you want me to do it again. Always. Grace asked questions about everything. 100 a day, minimum. Daddy, why is the sky blue? Because of how light works, sweetie. But why does light work that way? That's just how it is. But why? Marcus learned to love those questions. They meant her mind was working, processing, growing. Hope made up songs about everything. Breakfast songs, bath time songs, songs about her stuffed rabbit and the flowers in the garden and the way Daddy's shoes squeaked on the floor. Daddy's shoes go squeak, 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 walkin' down the street. That's a good one. Hope. I have more. Want to hear more. I always want to hear more. Those 3 little voices filled the house. Chaos and music and life everywhere. Then Victoria died. October 15th, a Tuesday. Marcus remembered every detail. He was in Dubai. The biggest deal of his career. $200 million. Months of negotiations coming down to one final meeting. His phone rang at 3:47 p.m. Dubai time. 7:47 a.m. in New York. He almost didn't answer. The meeting was about to start. Important people were waiting. But something made him pick up. Mr. Bennett, this is Mount Sinai Hospital. There's been an accident. The room started spinning. Your wife was brought in 20 minutes ago. A car accident on the Upper East Side. I'm sorry, sir. She didn't survive. Marcus didn't remember what happened next. They told him later that he collapsed. That someone caught him. That he kept saying, no, 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 over and over. The flight home took 14 hours. 14 hours of staring at nothing. 14 hours of his phone buzzing with messages he couldn't read. At the hospital, they made him identify her body. She looked like she was sleeping. That's what everyone says, isn't it? But it was true. She looked peaceful, beautiful, like she might open her eyes any second and laugh at him for worrying. She didn't. A drunk driver, the police officer explained, ran a red light doing 60, hit her car on the driver's side. She was gone instantly. No pain. No pain. They kept saying that, like it was supposed to help. She was coming home from lunch with her sister. A regular Tuesday. Nothing special. And then she was gone. Marcus made phone calls. Victoria's parents, her sister, his mother. Each conversation was the same. Tears. Disbelief. How could this happen? She was only 45. She was healthy. She was supposed to live forever. The funeral was 3 days later. Marcus stood at the grave holding yellow roses, Victoria's favorite. She said they reminded her of sunshine, of hope, of all the good things in life. He dropped them into the ground, and then he looked at his daughters. They stood in a row, matching black dresses, holding hands. They hadn't cried, not once, not at the hospital, not at the viewing, not during the service. They just stared. at the grave, at the flowers, at the box being lowered into the earth. And then they stopped talking, all three of them, at the same time, like someone had flipped a switch. Marcus didn't realize it at first. The house was full of people, relatives, friends, caterers, everyone talking over everyone else. But that night when everyone left, he went to the girls' room to say goodnight. "Hey babies, Daddy's here." They looked at him. Lily, Grace, Hope. 3 identical faces. 3 pairs of hazel eyes. No one spoke. "It's okay to be sad," Marcus said. "Daddy's sad too. We all miss Mommy." Nothing. "Do you want me to read you a story like Mommy used to?" Lily shook her head slowly. Grace looked away. Hope clutched her stuffed rabbit tighter. "Okay, that's okay. Maybe tomorrow. Good night, babies. Daddy loves you." He kissed each of them. They didn't respond. Marcus told himself it was shock, grief. They would be better in a few days. But days became weeks. Weeks became months. And the silence never broke. Marcus tried everything. He sat with them for hours, talking, asking questions, pleading. "Lily, sweetheart, can you say something? Anything. Just one word." She looked at him with those big hazel eyes, her mother's eyes, and said nothing. "Grace, don't you want to know things? You used to ask me 100 questions a day. Ask me something, anything." Grace turned away. "Hope, baby, sing me one of your songs. Remember the one about Daddy's squeaky shoes? I love that song. Please." Hope's lip trembled, but no sound came out. The doctors called it selective mutism, a trauma response. They said it might be temporary. They said it might not. These cases vary widely, Mr. Bennett. Some children recover in weeks, others take years, some never fully recover. What can I do? Love them, be patient, don't push too hard, and consider ongoing therapy. Marcus hired the best therapists money could buy. New York, Boston, London, Switzerland. He flew in specialists from around the world. He paid whatever they asked. Nothing worked. "We're seeing some positive signs in her nonverbal communication, Mr. Bennett. But she's not talking." "No, not yet." "When? We can't give you a timeline. Healing doesn't work that way." Marcus hated those words. He was a man who fixed problems. He identified obstacles and eliminated them. He made things happen through sheer force of will. But he couldn't make his daughters speak. He tried other things. Disneyland. He chartered a private jet, booked the most expensive suite, hired guides to take them to the front of every line. The girls held hands and walked through the park like ghosts. They didn't smile at the characters. They didn't scream on the rides. They didn't point at the fireworks. They just existed. Silent. Together. Somewhere far away. Marcus watched them meet Cinderella. The princess knelt down smiling. "Hello, beautiful girls. What are your names?" Silence. Cinderella looked at Marcus confused. He shook his head slightly. "Well," Cinderella said, recovering, "you don't have to tell me. I can see you're all princesses too." She hugged each of them. They didn't hug back. On the flight home, Marcus cried in the bathroom for 20 minutes. He tried the beach. Victoria loved the ocean. She used to say the waves could wash away any sadness. They rented a house in the Hamptons for a week. White sand, blue water, perfect weather. The girls sat on the beach holding hands. They didn't build sandcastles. They didn't run in the waves. They didn't laugh when the water touched their feet. They just sat, staring at the horizon, like they were waiting for something that would never come. Marcus built them a treehouse. Massive, custom designed, everything a child could dream of. Rope bridges, slides, a lookout tower. Victoria had sketched it out years ago, planning for when the girls were older. "They're going to love this," she had said, showing him the drawings. Every little girl deserves a castle in the sky. Marcus hired the best builders, spent $100,000, worked with architects to make Victoria's vision perfect. The girls went up once. They sat together, holding hands, looking out the window at the yard where their mother used to push them on the swings. They came down after 20 minutes. They never went back. Marcus bought them puppies. 3 golden retrievers. Soft, playful, impossible not to love. Every kid needs a dog, he told Eleanor. Victoria always wanted them to have dogs. The girls picked names by pointing at pictures. Lily chose Sunshine. Grace chose Cookie. Hope chose Butterfly. The dogs loved the girls, followed them everywhere, slept in their beds, licked their faces. The girls petted them, held them, but never spoke to them. Even the puppies couldn't break through. Marcus started losing hope. He watched his daughters drift further and further away. 3 little girls who used to fill every room with noise and life, now silent as statues. He saw Victoria in their faces every single day, her eyes, her smile, her expressions. It was torture, and he started running. First it was 1 extra meeting, then 2, then a business trip that could have been a phone call, then another, then another. Before he knew it, Marcus was working 16-hour days, traveling every other week. Singapore, London, Dubai, Tokyo, anywhere but home. Mr. Bennett, the girls are asking for you. They're not asking Eleanor. They don't talk, remember? They're waiting by the window. They do that when you're gone. They watch for your car. I'll be home next week. You said that last week, sir. Things are busy. Yes, sir. Things are always busy. Marcus knew what he was doing. He wasn't stupid. He was running from his own children, from his own grief, from the ghost of his wife that lived in every corner of that house. But he couldn't stop, because every time he looked at his daughters, he felt something that made his chest cave in. Guilt. Because Marcus knew something no one else knew. On the day Victoria died, they had a fight. The last conversation they ever had. It started over breakfast. Victoria was excited. The girls had a preschool recital that afternoon. They were singing a song they'd been practicing for weeks. "You're coming, right?" Victoria asked. "The recital is at 3. Marcus looked at his phone. "I have a meeting at 2:30. Can you move it?" "It's with the Goldman team. We've been trying to get this meeting for months." Victoria's face changed. That look he knew too well. Disappointment. Resignation. "Marcus, I know. But this deal, there's always a deal. There's always a meeting. There's always something more important than your family. That's not fair." "Isn't it?" Her voice rose. "When was the last time you made it to one of their events? When was the last time you were there for something that mattered to them? I'm providing for this family. Everything we have, everything they have is because I work. They don't need things, Marcus. They need their father." He slammed his coffee cup down. "And I need you to understand that not everything can be about them all the time. I have responsibilities, obligations, people depending on me. We're depending on you too, but you're never here. I'm here every night. No, your body is here. You, the real you, are always somewhere else, always thinking about the next deal, the next meeting, the next building." That's not true. It is true, and the girls notice. They ask me why Daddy doesn't play with them anymore, why Daddy is always on his phone, why Daddy looks sad all the time. "What do you want me to do, Victoria? Quit, give up everything I've built?" "I want you to show up. For one afternoon, for one recital. Is that really so much to ask?" He grabbed his briefcase. "I can't have this conversation right now. I'm going to be late." "Marcus, I'll try to make the recital. That's all I can promise." Trying isn't enough anymore. He stopped at the door, turned back. "What does that mean?" Victoria's eyes were wet. "It means I'm tired. I'm tired of making excuses for you. I'm tired of watching our daughters wait by the window. I'm tired of being alone in this marriage." "You're not alone. I am Marcus. I have been for years." He should have stayed. Should have put down the briefcase. Should have held her and told her she was right and promised to do better. Instead, he walked out. "I'll call you after the meeting," he said. "Don't bother." The door closed behind him. He never saw her alive again. The meeting ran long. He didn't make the recital. He was planning to call Victoria that night, apologize, figure things out. But by then, she was already in the morgue. And the last words between them were angry ones. Words they didn't mean. Words that could never be taken back. Marcus carried that guilt like a stone in his chest. Every single day. It was there when he woke up. There when he tried to sleep. There when he looked at his silent daughters and saw their mother's eyes staring back at him. He should have been there. Should have moved the meeting. Should have been a better husband. A better father. But he wasn't. And now Victoria was gone. His daughters had disappeared inside themselves, and Marcus was left with nothing but money and regret. So he ran. He buried himself in work because it was the only thing that made sense, the only thing he knew how to do, the only thing that didn't look at him with disappointment or grief. Buildings didn't judge you. Deals didn't blame you. Numbers didn't make you feel like a failure. His daughters did. Every silent moment, every empty stare, every time they looked at him and saw a stranger instead of a father. It was easier to be gone. The Westchester estate had 12 bedrooms, an infinity pool, a tennis court, a home theater, gardens that took 3 people to maintain. It was the loneliest place on earth. Eleanor had been with the Bennett family for 20 years. She'd seen it all, the rise, the success, the joy when the triplets were born, the devastation when Victoria died. Now she watched Marcus disappear. He was becoming a ghost in his own home, a name on a checkbook, a face the girls barely recognized. One evening in August, Eleanor decided she'd had enough. She found him in his study at midnight, staring at a photograph of Victoria, a glass of scotch untouched in his hand. "Mr. Bennett." He didn't look up. "What is it, Eleanor?" "We need to talk about the girls." "Are they okay? Are they sick?" "They're not sick, sir, but they're not okay either." Marcus finally looked at her. His eyes were red, exhausted. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I can't do this alone anymore. This house is too big. The girls need more than I can give them, more than nannies and tutors and therapists who come twice a week." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying they need someone, full-time, someone who can just be there, present, every day, giving them the attention they need." "I thought that's what the staff was for." Eleanor took a breath. "With respect, Sir, staff isn't the same as someone who cares. Someone who has time to sit with them, talk to them, even if they don't talk back." Marcus rubbed his face. "Fine. Hire whoever you need. I trust your judgment." "Yes, sir." She turned to leave, then stopped. "Mr. Bennett?" "What?" "Those girls don't need more money. They don't need more toys or trips or therapists. They need their father. They need you." Marcus didn't respond. He just turned back to Victoria's photograph. Eleanor sighed and closed the door. 3 days later, Denise Carter walked through the front door. Eleanor found her through a friend from church, a woman named Dorothy, who worked at a community center in Harlem. "I know exactly who you need," Dorothy said. "Her name's Denise. She's special." "Special how?" "She's got a gift. With children, with people. There's something about her, a warmth, a patience. Kids who won't talk to anyone else will open up to her." "Tell me about her background." "She's 30, grew up in Harlem, single, raising her teenage nephew since her sister died 2 years ago. Works days, goes to school at night, getting her degree in early childhood education." "That's a lot." "She's a lot. In the best way." Eleanor met Denise at a coffee shop in Midtown. She arrived exactly on time, wearing a simple dress and practical shoes. Her hair was pulled back. She wore no expensive jewelry, no makeup trying to impress. She looked like someone who worked hard. Someone real. Thank you for meeting me, Denise. Thank you for considering me, ma'am. Tell me about yourself. Denise straightened in her chair. I grew up in Harlem, 142nd Street. My mama raised 4 of us on her own. She cleaned houses for rich families on the Upper East Side. I used to go with her sometimes after school. What was that like? Educational. Denise smiled slightly. I learned that you can tell a lot about people by how they treat the folks who work for them. Some families, they treat you like furniture, like you're not even there. Others, they treat you like family. Which did you prefer? The honest ones. I don't need people to treat me like family. I just need them to treat me like a person. Eleanor nodded. Your friend Dorothy mentioned your sister. Pain flickered across Denise's face. Michelle. Breast cancer. Diagnosed at 32. Gone at 34. She fought hard. Harder than anyone I've ever seen. But sometimes fighting isn't enough. I'm sorry. Me too, every day. Denise's voice was steady, but her eyes were wet. She left behind a boy, Jalen. He's 16 now. I'm raising him. That must be difficult. Working school raising a teenager. It is what it is. You don't get to choose your circumstances. You just choose how you respond to them. My mama taught me that. How do you manage it all? Denise was quiet for a moment. You don't manage. Not really. You just keep going. One day at a time. One foot in front of the other. You cry when you need to. You pray when you can. And you show up. Every single day you show up. Eleanor felt something shift in her chest. This woman. This was the one. Why do you want to work with children, Denise? Because they deserve someone who sees them. Really sees them. Not just their problems or their behaviors or what they can't do. Them. The little people they're trying to become. Denise leaned forward. Every child is a miracle, ma'am. Every single one. Some of them just need someone to remind them of that. Eleanor hired her on the spot. When Denise arrived at the Westchester estate, she took a deep breath at the gate. The driveway was longer than the entire block she grew up on. The house looked like something from a television show. Columns. Perfect landscaping. More windows than she'd ever seen on one building. She thought about her apartment in Harlem. 2 bedrooms for her and Jalen. A kitchen so small you couldn't open the refrigerator all the way. A bathroom with a faucet that dripped no matter how tight you turned it. This house probably had bathrooms bigger than her whole apartment. But Denise didn't let it intimidate her. Her mama cleaned houses like this for 30 years. Denise knew the truth about big houses. They were just buildings. The people inside were still just people. Money didn't make you special. It just made you comfortable. Eleanor met her at the door. Welcome, Denise. Let me show you around. They walked through room after room. Living rooms, dining rooms, libraries, a kitchen that could feed a restaurant. It's a beautiful home, Denise said carefully. It's an empty home, Eleanor replied quietly. Beautiful and empty. She showed Denise the girls' wing. 3 bedrooms connected by a playroom. Everything a child could want. Toys, books, art supplies, and silence. Where is Mr. Bennett? Denise asked. Singapore, or maybe London. I lose track sometimes. When will he be back? When his work is done. Could be a week. Could be a month. Denise heard what Eleanor wasn't saying. He's not around much. He's around as little as possible. And when he's here, he might as well not be. Eleanor's voice was heavy. Since Mrs. Bennett died, he's not the same man. He works. He travels. He writes checks. But he doesn't live here. Not really. And the girls? They haven't spoken since their mother's funeral. Not one word. 18 months of silence. Denise felt her heart crack. The doctors call it selective mutism, Eleanor continued. A trauma response. We've had specialists from everywhere. Nothing has worked. Lord have mercy. They need someone, Denise. Not to fix them. No one can fix them. They need someone to just be there. To love them without expectations, without pressure, without trying to make them something they're not ready to be. Denise looked toward the staircase. Can I meet them? Of course, but don't expect anything. They don't engage. They don't respond. They just exist. Denise nodded. I understand. But she didn't. Not really. Not until she walked into that playroom and saw them. 3 little girls, identical faces, honey brown curls, hazel eyes that looked 1,000 years old. They sat in a circle on the floor, holding hands, staring at nothing. Denise had seen grief before. She'd sat with her sister through chemo and radiation. She'd held Jalen when he cried at his mother's funeral. She'd felt her own heart shatter into pieces that still hadn't fully healed. But this was different. This was grief that had become a prison. 3 little girls locked inside themselves, holding on to each other because everything else had been taken away. Denise knelt down slowly, not too close, not threatening. Hey there, she said softly. My name's Denise. I'm going to be helping out around here. They didn't respond, didn't even look at her. I'm not going to try to make you do anything, she continued. I'm just going to be here, every day, doing my work. And if you ever need anything or want to show me something or just want to sit together, that's okay. Nothing. Denise smiled gently. It's real nice to meet you girls. I've heard a lot about you. She stood up and walked out. In the hallway, Eleanor was waiting. See what I mean? It's like they're not even there. Denise shook her head slowly. No, they're there. They're just somewhere far away, somewhere they think is safe. Can you help them? I don't know, but I'm going to try. The first week, Denise didn't try to make anything happen. She just worked. She cleaned the girls' rooms while they sat on their beds watching. She hummed old gospel songs under her breath. Songs her grandmother used to sing. Songs about grace and rivers and going home. She talked while she worked. Not to them. Not at them. Just out loud, like they were already friends. You know what my nephew Jalen did yesterday? He tried to cook dinner. Tried being the key word. Nearly burned down my kitchen making spaghetti. How do you burn spaghetti? It's in water. But he managed. She laughed at her own story. The girls didn't react, but they didn't look away either. I told him, boy, you better stick to basketball. Leave the cooking to someone who won't set off the smoke alarm. He said, Auntie, I was just trying to help. I said, help yourself to a cookbook then. Nothing from the girls. But Lily's head tilted slightly, almost like she was listening. Denise noticed, but she didn't push. She just kept working, kept talking, kept being present. On the second day, she brought pictures. This is my sister Michelle, Jalen's mama. She passed 2 years ago. She was the pretty one in the family. Look at that smile. She held up the photograph. The girls glanced at it briefly. We were best friends our whole lives, did everything together. When she got sick, I moved in to help. And when she died, Denise's voice caught. When she died, I thought I might die too, from the sadness. She wiped her eyes and kept working. But I didn't die. I kept going, because that's what Michelle would have wanted, and because Jalen needed me. Sometimes the only reason you keep going is because someone else needs you to. She looked at the girls. I bet your mama loved you more than anything in the world. I bet she still does. Love doesn't stop just because someone's gone. It just changes. It becomes something you carry with you, instead of something you see every day. Lily's eyes glistened, just slightly, just for a moment. Denise pretended not to notice. On the 3rd day, she started humming more. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Her voice was soft, not performing, just humming while she folded laundry. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. Hope leaned forward on her bed, just slightly, like the music was pulling her. Denise kept humming, kept folding, kept being there. On the fourth day, she found a crayon drawing on top of the clean laundry. A yellow butterfly. No words, no signature, just a small, careful drawing. Denise picked it up with trembling hands. She knew who had left it. Lily, the one who used to recite nursery rhymes, the one who watched her the closest. This was Lily's way of speaking. Denise pressed the drawing to her heart. Then she taped it to the wall in the laundry room. The next morning, she made sure the girls saw it. Look what I found. Someone made me the most beautiful picture. A yellow butterfly. I don't know who made it, but it's the nicest gift I've gotten in a long time. Lily's eyes went wide. Grace looked at her sister, then at the picture. Hope clutched her stuffed rabbit tighter. Denise smiled and went back to work. An hour later, there were 2 more drawings on the laundry pile. A rainbow from Grace. A heart with stick figures holding hands from Hope. Denise taped them all to the wall. Now I've got a whole gallery. This is becoming the most beautiful wall in this whole big house. Something was changing. Denise could feel it. The girls started coming closer. Instead of watching from doorways, they sat in the same room. Then on the same couch. Then right next to her. They still didn't speak. But they were present. Engaged. Watching. Listening. Denise talked more. About everything. About growing up in Harlem. About her mama and her sisters and her crazy uncle who told jokes at every family dinner. About Jalen and his basketball games and his dreams of going to college. He wants to study business. Can you believe that my nephew, a businessman? His mama would be so proud. She told them about her own dreams. I'm going to school at night, getting my degree in early childhood education. My sister Michelle always said I was good with kids. She said I should do something with that gift. She told them about their mother. I heard she was a teacher. Kindergarten, right? That's special work. Helping little kids learn, helping them grow. Your mama must have been a wonderful person. Lily's eyes filled with tears, but they didn't fall. It's okay to miss her, Denise said softly. It's okay to be sad. That's what love does. It hurts when it's gone because it meant so much when it was there. Something cracked in the silence. Hope stood up from the couch. She walked toward Denise slowly, carefully, like she was approaching a wild animal. She stopped right in front of her. Denise held her breath. Hope held up her stuffed rabbit. Denise knelt down to eye level. Hey, sweet girl, what you got there, is that your bunny? Hope nodded. A tiny movement, but real. That's a beautiful bunny. Does she have a name? Hope's lips moved. No sound. But they moved. Denise waited, patient, unhurried. Finally a whisper, barely audible, but there. Rosie. Denise's heart exploded. Rosie. That's a perfect name. Rosie looks like a very good bunny. Very soft. Does she like hugs? Hope nodded. Well, you tell Rosie she's welcome to sit with me anytime. I'd love the company. Hope smiled, small, trembling, but real. Then she turned and ran back to her sisters. That night in her car, Denise cried for half an hour. 18 months of silence. And now one word, Rosie. It was the beginning. Over the next weeks the wall came down, slowly, gently, like ice melting in spring. Hope whispered to Denise first, then Grace, then Lily. The whispers became words. The words became sentences. The sentences became conversations. Miss Denise, did you know butterflies taste with their feet? Miss Denise, why is the sky blue? Miss Denise, can you braid my hair like you braid yours? And finally on a Tuesday afternoon, 6 weeks after she arrived, Denise heard something she thought might never happen again in that house. Singing. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. 3 little voices, high and sweet and full of life, filling the kitchen with music that hadn't been heard in 18 months. Denise joined in, her voice harmonizing with theirs. You make me happy when skies are gray. The girls laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was like medicine, like miracles, like hope returned from the dead. Eleanor heard it from the hallway. She stopped dead in her tracks, her hand flying to her mouth. Singing. The girls were singing. She found Denise later in the kitchen, tears streaming down both their faces. "How?" Eleanor whispered. "How did you do this?" Denise shook her head. "I didn't do anything. I just showed up. I just loved them. God did the rest." "We have to tell Mr. Bennett." "No." Eleanor frowned. "What? Why not?" "Because he needs to see it himself. He needs to come home and understand what he's been missing. He needs to see that this didn't happen because of money or specialists or fancy treatments. It happened because someone was here, present, paying attention." "But he should know, he should be here." Denise's voice was firm. "Those girls don't just need their voices back. They need their father. And if we tell him on the phone, he'll think the problem is solved. He'll go back to working 80 hours a week because someone else handled it." Eleanor understood. They agreed to wait. Marcus was supposed to stay in Singapore for another week. Then London. Then maybe Tokyo. But on his fourth night in Singapore, something strange happened. He couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the girls, their faces, their silent stares, their small hands reaching for him, but never quite touching. He dreamed of Victoria. "You promised," she said in the dream. "You promised you'd be there for them." "I'm trying." "No, Marcus, you're running." He woke up in a cold sweat. For 3 nights, the same dream, the same accusation, the same guilt pressing down on his chest like a weight. On the 4th night, he gave up trying to sleep. He sat on the edge of his bed in his luxury hotel suite, staring at the photograph he always carried. Victoria and the girls on their 2nd birthday. Everyone smiling. Everyone together. "What do I do?" he whispered. "Tell me what to do." Silence. But somewhere deep inside, he felt something shift. A pull. An urgency. Go home. He couldn't explain it. There was no logic to it. He had meetings, obligations, important people waiting. But the pull was stronger than logic. He picked up his phone and called his assistant. "Book me on the next flight to New York. I'm going home." 12 hours later, Marcus Bennett pulled into his driveway. It was just past noon. The sun was bright. The house looked the same as always, but something felt different. Marcus walked to the front door slowly. His heart was beating too fast. He felt nervous, anxious, like he was approaching something that would change everything. He opened the door. The entryway was quiet, like always. He stood there listening, and then he heard it. Faint at first. Distant. Coming from somewhere deep in the house. Laughter. Children's laughter. Marcus's hands started to shake. He moved toward the sound. Down the hallway. Past the living room. Closer. Now he could hear something else. Singing. "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." 3 little voices. His daughter's voices. Marcus couldn't breathe. His heart was pounding so hard he could feel it in his throat. He reached the kitchen door. He stood there trembling. Then he pushed it open. And what he saw inside stopped his entire world. Sunlight poured through the windows. Michelle was sitting on Denise's shoulders, her little hands tangled in the woman's braids, giggling uncontrollably. Lily and Grace sat barefoot on the counter legs, swinging faces glowing with joy. They were singing. Actually singing. "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." Their voices filled the room like music Marcus had forgotten existed. Denise was folding small bright dresses, humming along, smiling like this was the most natural thing in the world. The girls were wearing matching magenta outfits. Their hair was brushed. Their cheeks were flushed with happiness. They looked alive. For 3 seconds, Marcus felt something crack open inside him. Relief so powerful, it nearly knocked him down. His daughters were talking, laughing, singing. After 18 months of silence, they had come back to life. Then Michelle shouted, Louder, Miss Denise, sing louder. And everything shifted. Marcus didn't understand what happened next. He couldn't explain it, couldn't control it. But something dark and ugly rose up from the pit of his stomach. This woman, this stranger, she had done what he couldn't. She had brought his daughters back from the dead, while he was closing deals in Singapore, while he was flying first class across the world, while he was running from his own grief. She was here, loving them, healing them, being the parent he should have been. The jealousy hit him like a fist. Then the shame. Then the rage. What the hell is going on here? His voice exploded across the kitchen like a gunshot. The singing stopped instantly. Michelle's face crumpled. Her small body went rigid on Denise's shoulders. Denise stumbled backward, her hands shaking as she carefully lifted Michelle down and set her on the floor. Lily and Grace froze on the counter. Their legs stopped mid-swing. Their smiles vanished. The joy drained out of the room like water down a drain. Mr. Bennett? Denise's voice was quiet, steady, but Marcus could see her trembling. I didn't know you were coming home. We were just what? Marcus stepped into the kitchen, his fists clenched at his sides. Playing house, turning my kitchen into some kind of daycare circus. Sir, I was just spending time with them. They were having such a good... I don't want to hear it. Marcus's face was red. His chest heaved with every breath. He looked at his daughters on the counter, at the mess of dresses and toys, at this woman who had somehow done the impossible. And he hated her for it. Putting my daughters on counters, carrying them around like that. What if one of them fell? What if something happened? Nothing happened. Mr. Bennett, I was being careful. I would never let anything. You were hired to clean. His voice cracked like a whip. Not to sing, not to play dress-up, not to act like you're their mother. The word hung in the air. Mother. Denise flinched like she'd been slapped. The girls heard it too, all three of them. Their faces went pale. Mr. Bennett, please. Denise's voice was barely above a whisper now. I wasn't trying to replace anyone. I was just... You're fired. The words came out cold, final, like a door slamming shut. Pack your things. Get out of my house, now. Denise stood frozen for a moment. Her hands gripped the edge of the counter. Her eyes were wet, but she didn't cry. She didn't beg. She didn't argue. She just nodded. Yes, sir. She walked toward the door. Her head was high. Her shoulders were straight. But Marcus could see her hands shaking, could see the tears starting to slip down her cheeks. She paused at the doorway, turned back. Mr. Bennett. What? Those girls love you. They talk about you all the time. They wait by the window every day, hoping your car will come up the driveway. They drew pictures for you. They made up songs about you. Her voice broke. They don't need a maid. They don't need a nanny. They need their father. They need you to show up. Not with money. Not with toys. Just you. Marcus said nothing. Denise wiped her eyes. I hope you figure that out before it's too late. Then she was gone. The kitchen fell silent. Marcus stood there breathing hard, his heart pounding. He waited for the satisfaction to come. The relief. He had taken control. He had fixed the problem. He had shown everyone who was in charge. But the satisfaction didn't come. Instead, he felt something else. Something cold and hollow spreading through his chest. He turned to look at his daughters. They had climbed down from the counter. Slowly. Carefully. They stood together now, holding hands in a row. Their matching magenta dresses looked wrong somehow, too bright for the silence that had returned. Their faces were blank. Empty. Like someone had reached inside them and flipped a switch. Marcus had seen that look before. He had seen it for 18 months. He had paid millions of dollars trying to fix it. And now it was back. Girls. His voice came out hoarse. Daddy's home. Aren't you happy to see me? They didn't respond. I heard you singing. That was beautiful. Can you sing for Daddy? Nothing. Lily Grace. Hope. Lily's lip trembled, but she didn't speak. Grace's eyes filled with tears that didn't fall. Michelle clutched her stuffed rabbit to her chest, her small body shaking. And then Marcus saw something that shattered him completely. Fear. His daughters were afraid of him. They were looking at him the way they might look at a stranger, a monster, someone who had just destroyed the only good thing in their world. Girls, Marcus's voice cracked. I didn't mean to, but he had meant it. Every word. And they knew it. Lily turned first. She gripped her sister's hands and pulled them toward the door. Girls, wait, please. Daddy wants to talk to you. They didn't stop. They didn't look back. They walked out of the kitchen together, their bare feet padding softly against the floor, their small bodies pressed close to each other. And just like that, the silence returned. Marcus stood alone in the kitchen. The bright dresses Denise had been folding were still on the counter. The drawings the girls had made were still taped to the wall. Yellow butterflies. Rainbows. Hearts with stick figures holding hands. The sunlight that had felt so warm moments ago now felt harsh. Accusing. Marcus grabbed the counter to steady himself. What did I just do? His legs gave out. He sank into a chair. His head fell into his hands. And for the first time since Victoria's funeral, Marcus Bennett broke down completely. He didn't know how long he sat there. Minutes. Hours. Time lost all meaning. The kitchen grew dark as the sun moved across the sky. He didn't get up to turn on the lights. He just sat there in the growing shadows, replaying the scene over and over. The singing. The laughter. The joy on his daughters' faces. And then his voice destroying it all. What the hell is going on here? You're fired. Act like you're their mother. Get out of my house. Every word was a knife. And he had thrown them all at once. A soft knock on the door made him look up. Eleanor stood in the doorway. Her face was hard. Her arms were crossed. She didn't look like the gentle housekeeper who had served his family for 20 years. She looked like a judge about to deliver a verdict. Mr. Bennett? What do you want, Eleanor? We need to talk. Not now. Yes, now. She walked into the kitchen and flipped on the light. Marcus blinked against the sudden brightness. The girls are in their room, Eleanor said. They haven't made a sound since you came home. Not one sound. Marcus closed his eyes. I know. Do you know what you did today? I lost my temper. I overreacted. I'll apologize tomorrow and... Apologize. Eleanor's voice was sharp. You think an apology is going to fix this? What do you want me to say, Eleanor? I want you to understand what you destroyed. She pulled out a chair and sat across from him. Her eyes never left his face. Those girls have been talking for 6 weeks, Mr. Bennett. 6 weeks. Full sentences. Stories. Jokes. Songs. They've been laughing and playing and acting like normal children for the first time since their mother died. Marcus stared at her. 6 weeks. Yes. Why didn't anyone tell me? Because you were never here to tell. You were in Singapore, in London, in Dubai, anywhere but here. The words hit like punches. Denise did what no one else could do. Eleanor continued. Not the doctors, not the therapists, not the specialists you flew in from around the world. She showed up every day and loved them. That's it. That's all she did. She loved them. I didn't know. You didn't ask. You called once a week to check on the house, on the staff, on the accounts. You rarely asked about the girls, and when you did, you didn't really want to know. You just wanted to hear that everything was fine so you could go back to your meetings. Marcus's throat tightened. That's not true. Isn't it? He couldn't answer. Those girls adored Denise. They trusted her. They opened up to her in ways they couldn't open up to anyone else, including you. And you walked in and tore it all apart in 30 seconds. I was surprised. I didn't expect to see. You were jealous. The word hung in the air. Marcus wanted to deny it, wanted to defend himself, but he couldn't, because Eleanor was right. He had been jealous. Jealous of a woman who made barely enough money to pay her rent. Jealous because his daughters smiled at her in ways they didn't smile at him. Jealous because she had succeeded where he had failed. What kind of man gets jealous of his own children's happiness? Eleanor's voice softened slightly. What kind of father destroys something beautiful because he wasn't the one who created it? I don't know. Marcus's voice broke. I don't know what's wrong with me. I do. Eleanor leaned forward. You're grieving. You've been grieving for 18 months. But instead of facing it, you ran. You buried yourself in work because it was easier than sitting with the pain. Easier than looking at your daughters and seeing Victoria's eyes staring back at you. Stop. No. You need to hear this. Eleanor's voice was firm. You think you're the only one who lost her. Those girls lost their mother. They watched their world fall apart. And then they watched their father disappear too. Not because he died, but because he chose to leave. I didn't choose to. You did. Every meeting you took instead of coming home. Every trip you extended by another week. Every time you called from an airport instead of walking through that door. You chose work over them, over and over again. Marcus put his head in his hands. I couldn't stand being here. I couldn't look at them without seeing her, without feeling like I failed her. So you failed them instead. The silence stretched between them. Eleanor stood up. I'm going to tell you something, Mr. Bennett, and I want you to listen carefully. Marcus looked up. Denise didn't just make those girls talk. She made them believe that love was safe again, that it was okay to open their hearts, that not everyone they cared about would leave them. She walked to the door. And then you proved her wrong. She paused her hand on the doorframe. Those girls are back in their rooms right now, holding hands in a circle, staring at nothing, just like they did for 18 months. You didn't just fire Denise today, Mr. Bennett. You taught your daughters that happiness can be taken away at any moment, that loving someone is dangerous, that their own father can't be trusted. Her voice cracked. I don't know if you can fix this. I don't know if anyone can. But if you don't try, if you don't get on your knees and beg that woman to come back, you're going to lose those girls forever. Not to death, not to illness, to silence. A silence you created. She walked out. Marcus sat alone in the kitchen. The drawings on the wall seemed to mock him. Yellow butterflies, rainbows, hearts with stick figures holding hands. His daughters had made those. For Denise, not for him. Because Denise was there, and he wasn't. He pulled out his phone, looked at the screen. 37 unread emails. 12 voicemails. A meeting in Tokyo next week that was supposed to close the biggest deal of his career. None of it mattered. He put the phone face down on the table. Then he stood up and walked upstairs. The hallway to the girls' room had never felt so long. His footsteps echoed on the hardwood floor. His heart pounded with every step. He reached their door, raised his hand to knock, and heard something that stopped him cold. Crying. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just soft, heartbroken sobs from 3 little girls who had learned to cry without making noise. Marcus pressed his ear to the door. I miss her. Lily's voice barely a whisper. Me too. Grace sniffling. Why did Daddy make her go away? Michelle, her voice thick with tears. I don't know. Is he going to make us go away too? Silence. Then Lily's voice older than her 4 years. We just have to be quiet. Like before. If we're quiet, maybe nothing bad will happen. Marcus's legs gave out. He slid down the wall and sat on the floor, his back against their door, listening to his daughters plan their retreat from the world. Because of him. He had spent 18 months watching them disappear into silence. He had paid millions trying to bring them back. And the one person who succeeded, the one person who broke through, he had thrown out of his house like garbage. Because he was jealous. Because he was ashamed. Because he was a coward who couldn't face his own failures. Marcus pulled out his phone again. His hands were shaking as he typed a message to his assistant. "Cancel Tokyo. Cancel everything for the next 2 weeks. I'm not leaving New York." He hit send. Then he opened his contacts and scrolled until he found Eleanor's number. "Eleanor, I need Denise's address." A pause on the other end. "Are you sure, Mr. Bennett?" "I'm sure. I have to fix this." "It's not going to be easy." "I know." Another pause. "She lives in Harlem. I'll text you the address. But Mr. Bennett." "Yes." "Don't go tonight. You're not ready. You need to think about what you're going to say. What you're willing to change. Because if you go there and make empty promises, you'll only make things worse." "I understand." "Do you?" "Because those girls can't take another disappointment. And neither can Denise." Marcus closed his eyes. "I'll be ready tomorrow. I promise." He hung up. Behind the door, the crying had stopped. The silence was back. Marcus stood up slowly. He wanted to open the door, to hold his daughters, to tell them he was sorry. But Eleanor was right. He wasn't ready. Not yet. He walked to his study and sat in the darkness. Tomorrow he would go to Harlem. Tomorrow he would find Denise. Tomorrow he would beg. But tonight he would sit with his guilt, his shame, his failure. Tonight he would finally face the truth he had been running from for 18 months. He wasn't a good father. He wasn't even a present father. He was just a man with money who thought he could buy his way out of pain. And his daughters were paying the price. Marcus stared at Victoria's photograph on his desk. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry. I'll make this right. I promise." The photograph didn't answer, but somewhere deep inside, Marcus felt something shift. Not hope, not yet, but the first small seed of determination. He would get Denise back. He would win his daughter's trust. He would become the father Victoria always believed he could be. Or he would die trying. The next morning came too fast. Marcus hadn't slept. He sat in his study all night staring at Victoria's photograph, rehearsing what he would say to Denise. Every version sounded wrong. Every apology felt hollow. At 6 a.m. he showered and dressed. Not in his usual expensive suit. He chose khakis and a simple button-down. Something that didn't scream billionaire. Something that might make him look human. At 7 he walked past the girls' room. The door was closed. No sound came from inside. He wanted to knock. Wanted to tell them he was going to fix everything. But he didn't have the right. Not yet. At 8, Eleanor handed him a piece of paper with an address written in her careful handwriting. "Harlem," she said. "3rd floor, apartment 3B. Marcus took the paper. His hands were shaking. "Mr. Bennett." "Yes." "Don't make promises you can't keep. That woman has been through enough. Those girls have been through enough. If you're going to do this, do it right." "I will." "I hope so. For everyone's sake." Marcus drove into the city alone. No driver, no assistant. Just him and his guilt and the GPS directing him to a part of New York he had never visited. The neighborhood was nothing like Westchester. The buildings were old-packed close together. Fire escapes clung to brick walls. Kids played on the sidewalk while their mothers watched from stoops. Marcus parked his Mercedes on the street. It looked absurd here. A $200,000 car sitting next to a fire hydrant in front of a building with a broken front door. He got out and looked up at the 3rd floor. This was where Denise lived. This was where she came home every night after taking care of his daughters. After loving them. After doing the job he should have been doing. Marcus climbed the stairs. The hallway smelled like cooking and cleaning products. Someone was playing music behind one of the doors. A baby was crying somewhere above. He found apartment 3B and knocked. Footsteps inside. Then the door opened. A teenage boy stood there, tall, athletic build, guarded eyes that immediately went hard when they saw Marcus. "Yeah. I'm looking for Denise Carter. Does she live here?" The boy's jaw tightened. "Who's asking?" "My name is Marcus Bennett. I was her employer." "Was." The boy almost spat the word. "You mean you're the guy who fired her?" "Yes. I made a mistake. I need to talk to her." "She doesn't want to talk to you." "Please, it's important." The boy stepped forward, blocking the doorway completely. He was almost as tall as Marcus, and he wasn't backing down. "You know what's important? My aunt came home yesterday crying. I haven't seen her cry like that since my mom died. She sat at the kitchen table for 2 hours and couldn't even talk. Just sat there with tears running down her face." Marcus felt the words like punches. "I'm sorry. You're sorry." The boy's voice rose. "She loved those little girls. She talked about them every night. Lily did this. Grace said that Hope sang this song. She was so happy. For the first time since my mom died, she was really happy. And you took that from her." "I know. That's why I'm here. I need to apologize. I need to make this right." "You can't make it right. Some things can't be fixed with money or apologies or whatever rich people think solves problems." "Jalen." A voice from inside the apartment, soft but firm. Denise appeared behind her nephew. She looked tired. Her eyes were red and swollen. But she stood straight, her hand on Jalen's shoulder. "It's okay. Let me talk to him." "Auntie, you don't have to." "I know I don't have to. I want to." She squeezed his shoulder. "Go finish your breakfast. I'll be fine." Jalen looked at Marcus one more time. The warning in his eyes was clear. Hurt her again, and there will be consequences. Then he stepped back and disappeared into the apartment. Denise and Marcus stood facing each other in the narrow hallway. "Mr. Bennett?" "Denise, thank you for seeing me. I didn't say I wanted to see you. I said I wanted to talk to you. There's a difference." "Fair enough." She crossed her arms. "So talk." Marcus had rehearsed this moment all night. He had prepared speeches, explanations, arguments. But standing here looking at this woman who had given his daughters their voices back, all of it disappeared. "I was wrong." Denise said nothing. "What I did yesterday was unforgivable. The things I said, the way I treated you. You didn't deserve any of it." "No, I didn't." "I was surprised. I came home and heard them singing and I couldn't believe it. For 18 months I tried everything. Doctors, therapists, specialists from around the world. Nothing worked. And then I walk into my kitchen and see them laughing and singing with you, and I just got jealous." The word hung between them. "Yes." Marcus's voice was barely a whisper. "I got jealous. Of you. Because you did what I couldn't. Because they smiled at you the way they used to smile at their mother. Because for a moment I felt like I didn't exist. Like they didn't need me anymore." Denise's expression didn't soften. "So you destroyed it?" "Yes." "You humiliated me in front of 3 little girls who trusted me. You made them watch while you screamed at the one person they had opened up to. You taught them that loving someone is dangerous, that happiness can be ripped away without warning. I know. Do you really understand what you did?" "I'm starting to." Denise shook her head slowly. "Those girls went silent again, didn't they?" Marcus couldn't speak. He just nodded. "Of course they did. Because you showed them exactly what they were afraid of. That the people they love will leave. That nothing is safe. That the world is cruel and unpredictable, and there's no point in opening your heart. I'm trying to fix it. That's why I'm here." "Fix it." Denise laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You think this is something you can fix, like a broken pipe or a business deal gone wrong? These are children, Mr. Bennett. Human beings with hearts and feelings and memories. You can't just throw money at them and expect everything to be okay." "I know that." "Do you?" Because from what I've seen, money is the only way you know how to solve problems. You're uncomfortable. Buy something. You're sad. Buy something. Your daughters are hurting. Hire someone to make them better. That's not fair. Isn't it? Denise stepped closer, her eyes blazing. Where were you for the last 18 months? Not at home. Not with your daughters. You were in Singapore and London and Dubai closing deals and making money while 3 little girls sat in that big empty house waiting for their father to come back. I couldn't be there. I couldn't look at them without seeing Victoria, without feeling like a failure. So you failed them more by leaving. The words hit like a slap. I lost my wife. Marcus's voice cracked. The love of my life. We had a fight the morning she died. A stupid fight about me missing the girls' recital. The last words I ever said to her were angry. The last time I saw her we were both furious, and then she was gone, forever. Denise's expression shifted slightly, but she didn't back down. I'm sorry for your loss. I truly am. I know what grief feels like. I watched my sister die slowly over 2 years. I held her hand when she took her last breath. I've buried the person I loved most in this world. Then you understand. I understand grief. What I don't understand is abandonment. Her voice hardened again. When my sister died, I didn't run. I couldn't. Her son needed me. So I showed up. Every single day. Even when it hurt. Even when I wanted to curl up and disappear. I showed up because that's what you do when someone depends on you. I know. You're stronger than me. This isn't about strength. It's about choice. You chose to leave. You chose to put work first. You chose to let strangers raise your daughters while you hid from your own pain. Marcus had no defense. Everything she said was true. You're right. About all of it. I was a coward. I am a coward. But I'm trying to change. I'm trying to be better. Why now? Because you finally saw what you were missing. Because you realized someone else could love your daughters better than you could. Because I heard them crying last night. Denise went still. I stood outside their door and listened to them cry. They thought I couldn't hear. Lily was comforting her sisters, telling them to be quiet like before. Telling them if they stayed silent, nothing bad would happen. His voice broke. My 4-year-old daughter was teaching her sisters how to disappear again. Because of me. Because I made them afraid. And I realized that if I don't change, if I don't fix this, I'm going to lose them. Not to death like I lost Victoria. To silence. To fear. To the walls they build to protect themselves from me. Denise's eyes glistened, but she didn't cry. She had cried enough. What do you want from me, Mr. Bennett? I want you to come back. No. Please, just hear me out. I said no. Her voice was firm. I can't go back to that house. I can't look at those girls knowing that at any moment you could walk in and tear everything apart again. I can't put my heart on the line just to have it broken. It won't happen again, I swear. How can you swear that you didn't plan to do it the first time? It just happened, because that's who you are. A man who reacts with anger when he feels out of control. I'm going to change. People don't change overnight. Then give me a chance to prove it. Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out a small cardboard box. The girls made this. Eleanor found it in their room. Denise looked at the box but didn't take it. What is it? Open it. Please. She hesitated. Then she took the box and lifted the lid. Inside were 3 drawings. A yellow butterfly from Lily, a rainbow from Grace, a heart with stick figures from Hope, and beneath them a folded piece of paper. Denise unfolded it with trembling hands. The words were written in crayon, big and uneven. Please come back. We love you. A sound escaped from Denise's throat. Half sob, half gasp. They made these before I came home, Marcus said quietly. They were going to give them to you. They drew these because they love you. Because you gave them something no one else could. Because you showed them that it's safe to feel again. Denise pressed the paper to her chest. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I destroyed that, Marcus continued. I know I did. But maybe if you come back we can rebuild it together. Not just for the girls. For all of us. I can't. Why not? Because I don't trust you. She looked up at him, her eyes red. I don't trust that you won't hurt them again. I don't trust that you'll actually be there. I don't trust that tomorrow or next week or next month you won't decide that work is more important and disappear again. What can I do to earn your trust? I don't know if you can. Then tell me what to try. Give me a chance. Not for me. For them. Denise was quiet for a long moment. She looked at the drawings in her hands. The butterfly, the rainbow, the heart. If I come back, she said slowly, things have to change. Completely. Anything, name it. No more 80-hour weeks. No more trips that last for months. No more hiding in your office while your daughters grow up without you. I'll restructure my work. I'll delegate more. I'm not finished. Her voice was sharp. If I come back, you have to be present. Really present. Not just physically in the house, but actually there. Playing with them. Reading to them. Eating meals together. Being a father. I will. And you can never speak to me that way again. I'm not your servant. I'm not beneath you. I'm a human being who deserves respect. I know. I'm sorry. And if you ever make those girls feel unsafe again, I'm gone. No second chances. No apologies. I'll walk out that door and never come back. I understand. Denise stared at him for a long time, searching his face, looking for something. Truth, maybe, or sincerity. 1 week. What? Give me 1 week to think about it. I need time, and you need time too, to prove that you mean what you say. How do I prove it? By being there, every day, morning, noon, and night. By showing those girls that their father isn't going anywhere. By doing the work, not just talking about it. Marcus nodded. 1 week. I can do that. We'll see. She handed back the box with the drawings. Keep these. Show them to the girls. Tell them I saw them. Tell them... Her voice caught. Tell them I miss them too. She stepped back into the apartment. 1 week, Mr. Bennett. Don't waste it. The door closed. Marcus stood in the hallway clutching the box to his chest. His heart was pounding. His eyes were wet. 1 week. 7 days to become the father he should have been all along. He walked back down the stairs and out to his car. The neighborhood was louder now. More people on the street. Life happening all around him. He got in the Mercedes and sat there for a moment. Then he pulled out his phone. Cancel everything, he told his assistant. For the next month. No meetings, no calls, no trips. I'm going to be unreachable. Sir, the Tokyo deal. I don't care about Tokyo. Cancel it. But sir, did you hear what I said? Cancel everything. I'll call you when I'm ready. He hung up. Then he drove home. The girls were in the playroom when he arrived, sitting in a circle, holding hands, silent. Marcus stood in the doorway. Hey, babies. They looked up. Their faces were blank, guarded. I went to see Miss Denise today. A flicker in Lily's eyes, just a tiny spark. I asked her to come back. She said she needs to think about it, but she wanted me to tell you something. He knelt down, bringing himself to their level. She said she saw your drawings, the butterfly and the rainbow and the heart. She said they were beautiful. Grace's lip trembled. And she said to tell you that she misses you. Very much. Hope's eyes filled with tears. Marcus reached out slowly, carefully, not demanding, just offering. I know I scared you. I know I hurt you. And I know sorry isn't enough. But I'm going to try to make it right. I'm going to be here. Every day. I'm not leaving again. Lily looked at her sisters. Some silent communication passed between them. Then she turned back to Marcus. She didn't speak, but she reached out and touched his hand. Just for a second. just a brush of her small fingers against his. Then she pulled back. But it was something. A crack in the wall. A tiny opening. Marcus felt tears stream down his face. "Thank you, baby. Thank you." He stayed with them all day. He didn't check his phone, didn't think about work. He just sat on the floor of their playroom waiting. Present. Available. They didn't speak to him, but they let him stay. And for now, that was enough. 6 days to go. Day 2 began at 5 in the morning. Marcus woke before the sun. He hadn't set an alarm. His body just knew. Something had shifted inside him, something that wouldn't let him sleep while his daughters were hurting. He went to the kitchen and stood there staring at the stove. Victoria used to make pancakes on Sunday mornings. The girls would sit at the counter watching, waiting for the first batch. She made them into shapes. Mickey Mouse ears, hearts, stars. Marcus had never made pancakes in his life. He pulled out his phone and searched for a recipe. Flour, eggs, milk, baking powder. He found the ingredients in the pantry, lined them up on the counter, and read the instructions 3 times. The first batch was a disaster. Too thick. Burned on the outside, raw in the middle. He threw them away and started over. The second batch was better. Not good, but edible. At 7, he heard footsteps on the stairs. Small feet. Hesitant. The girls appeared in the doorway, holding hands, still in their pajamas. They stopped when they saw him. "Good morning, babies." Marcus's voice was gentle, careful. "I made breakfast. It's not as good as Mommy used to make, but I tried." They didn't move. "You don't have to eat if you don't want to, but it's here if you're hungry." He set 3 plates on the table. Pancakes cut into rough circles, butter, syrup, orange juice in their favorite cups. Then he stepped back, giving them space, not crowding, not demanding. Lily looked at her sisters. Some silent conversation passed between them. Then she walked to the table and sat down. Grace followed. Hope hesitated longest, but eventually she came too. They ate in silence. Marcus didn't push them to talk. He just sat across from them, eating his own burned pancakes, being present. When they finished, Lily looked up at him. She didn't speak, but she nodded. Just once. Just slightly. It was acknowledgement, maybe even gratitude. Marcus felt his chest tighten. "Same time tomorrow?" he asked softly. Lily nodded again. Progress. Tiny, fragile progress, but real. Day 3 was harder. Marcus tried to play with them in the afternoon. He sat on the floor of their playroom with a box of crayons and paper. "Do you want to draw? I saw the pictures you made for Miss Denise. They were beautiful." The girls looked at each other, then at him, then at the crayons. Nobody moved. Marcus picked up a yellow crayon and started drawing. He was terrible at it. His butterfly looked more like a blob with wings. "This is supposed to be a butterfly," he said, showing them. "But I think it looks more like a potato with antennae." Nothing. "Your mom was the artist in our family. I can't draw to save my life. Once I tried to make her a card for our anniversary. I drew a heart that looked like a kidney bean. She laughed for 10 minutes. Still nothing. But Hope's eyes flickered. Just a little. Marcus kept talking. Kept drawing his terrible pictures. Kept being there. After an hour, he noticed something. Grace had picked up a crayon. Blue. She was holding it, rolling it between her fingers. She didn't draw anything, but she was holding it. Marcus pretended not to notice. He just kept making his awful art. That night, Eleanor found him in the kitchen washing dishes. "You don't have to do that, Mr. Bennett. That's my job." "I want to." He scrubbed a plate harder than necessary. "I need to do something with my hands, otherwise I'll go crazy." Eleanor watched him for a moment. The girls ate all their pancakes this morning. They did. Every bite. Even the burned ones. Marcus almost smiled. Almost. "How are they, really?" Quiet, but different than before. They're watching you, trying to figure out if you're going to stay or disappear again. I'm staying. I know you believe that, but they don't. Not yet. Trust takes time, Mr. Bennett, especially when it's been broken. Marcus set down the plate and turned to face her. Eleanor, can I ask you something? Of course. Why did you stay all these years? Through everything. You could have left 100 times. Eleanor was quiet for a moment. Because of Mrs. Bennett. She was good to me, treated me like family, not staff. And when she died, I promised myself I would take care of her girls, no matter what. Even though I was never here. Even though. Eleanor's voice softened. I wanted to hate you for leaving, for abandoning them. But I couldn't. Because I knew you were broken too. Just too proud to admit it. I'm not proud anymore. I'm just tired. Good. Pride doesn't help children heal. Humility does. She took the dish towel from his hands. Go to bed, Mr. Bennett. Tomorrow is day 4. You need your strength. Day 4 brought the first real breakthrough. Marcus was sitting in the living room reading a book he'd found on Victoria's shelf. A parenting book she had bought years ago. He'd never opened it. Now he was devouring it, highlighting passages, taking notes like he was studying for the most important exam of his life. The girls were in the playroom. He could hear them moving around, but no voices. Never any voices. Then he heard something different. Humming. Soft. Barely audible, but definitely humming. Marcus set down the book and listened. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. It was Hope, humming the song they'd been singing with Denise. Marcus's heart stopped. He stood slowly, walked toward the playroom, stopped just outside the door, not wanting to interrupt. The humming continued, then stopped. Silence. Then Lily's voice, barely a whisper. Hope, don't. Daddy might hear. I miss Miss Denise. I know. Me too. When is she coming back? I don't know. What if she doesn't come back? More silence. Then Grace's voice, even softer than her sister's. Daddy went to see her. Maybe she'll come back. Do you think so? I don't know, but Daddy made us pancakes, and he's been here every day. He never did that before. Maybe he's different now. Maybe. Marcus pressed his back against the wall, tears streaming down his face. His daughters were talking. Not to him, but to each other. About him. About Hope. He wanted to burst into the room, to hold them, to promise he would never leave again. But he didn't. He stayed in the hallway listening, letting them have their private moment. That night, he went back to Harlem. He didn't tell anyone, didn't call ahead. He just got in his car and drove. It was almost 9 when he arrived. The building looked different at night. Darker, more tired. He climbed the stairs and knocked on apartment 3B. Jalen opened the door. His eyes narrowed. You again? I need to see Denise, please. She said 1 week. It's only been 4 days. I know, but something happened today. Something she needs to hear. Jalen studied him for a long moment. Then he turned his head. Auntie. He's here again. Footsteps. Denise appeared wearing sweatpants and a faded t-shirt. She looked exhausted. But when she saw Marcus, something flickered in her eyes. Mr. Bennett, I said 1 week. I know, I'm sorry, but I had to tell you something. It couldn't wait 3 more days. No, it couldn't. She sighed and stepped into the hallway, closing the door behind her. Talk fast. I have an exam tomorrow. They were talking today. Denise went still. The girls. I overheard them in the playroom. They were talking about you, about me, about whether things might be different now. What did they say? Hope was humming the Sunshine song, the one you taught them, and Lily and Grace were talking about whether you might come back. They said I've been making them pancakes, that I've been home every day. They're noticing Denise. They're starting to believe. Denise's eyes glistened, but she didn't speak. I know I have no right to ask for more time. I know I've done nothing to deserve your trust. But I'm trying. Every single day I'm trying. And it's working. Slowly. But it's working. Mr. Bennett. Please. Just come see them. One visit. You don't have to stay. You don't have to promise anything. Just let them see your face. Let them know you haven't forgotten them. Denise was quiet for a long moment. I have class tomorrow night, and work during the day. Saturday. Come Saturday. Just for an hour. Please. She looked at him, really looked at him, searching for something in his face. Why is this so important to you? Because they need you. Because I can't do this alone. Because I finally understand that being a father isn't about providing things. It's about being present. And you taught me that, by showing me what I wasn't doing. Denise leaned against the wall. Her shoulders sagged. You know what's funny? I've been thinking about those girls every day. Every hour. I try to focus on my homework, and I see their faces. I try to sleep, and I hear their voices. They got under my skin, Mr. Bennett, all the way down to my bones. Then come back. For them, for yourself. It's not that simple. Why not? Because I'm scared. Marcus blinked. Scared of what? Of loving them again and losing them again. Of putting my heart out there just to have it stomped on. I've lost too many people, Mr. Bennett. My mother. My sister. I can't lose anyone else. You won't lose them, I promise. You can't promise that. Nobody can promise that. Marcus was silent. She was right. There were no guarantees. Life was fragile and unpredictable and cruel. But he had to try. You're right. I can't promise nothing bad will ever happen. But I can promise to fight for them, to show up, to be the father they deserve. And if you give me a chance, I can promise to fight for you too. Fight for me. You deserve respect, Denise. You deserve to be valued. What I did was wrong, not just because it hurt the girls, but because it hurt you. A woman who had shown my family nothing but kindness and love. Denise wiped her eyes. Saturday. Saturday, 10 in the morning. I'll make pancakes. A tiny smile tugged at her lips. Are they any good? Terrible. But I'm getting better. She almost laughed. Almost. Fine, Saturday, 1 hour. But I'm not making any promises. That's all I ask. She turned to go back inside, then stopped. Mr. Bennett. Yes. Thank you for coming all the way out here, for trying. It means something. Even if I'm not ready to admit how much. She went inside and closed the door. Marcus stood in the hallway for a moment, his heart pounding. Saturday. He had 2 more days. 2 more days to prove he could be the man his daughters needed. The man Victoria had always believed he could be. He drove home through the dark streets, his mind racing with plans. Day 5. Friday. Marcus woke early again. Made pancakes again. Sat with the girls again. But this time, something was different. When he set the plates on the table, Hope looked up at him. Daddy? The word hit him like lightning. The first word any of them had spoken directly to him in 18 months. Yes, baby. His voice was shaking. What is it? Can I have more syrup? Such a simple request. Such an ordinary thing. But Marcus felt tears spilling down his cheeks. Of course. Of course you can have more syrup. He poured it carefully, his hands trembling. Hope looked at her plate, then at him. Thank you, Daddy. 3 words. 3 perfect, miraculous words. Marcus knelt beside her chair. He didn't grab her, didn't overwhelm her. He just knelt there at her level, looking into her hazel eyes. Thank you, Hope. Thank you for talking to me. She nodded, then went back to eating. Lily and Grace watched their sister. Something passed between them, some silent decision. Grace reached for the syrup. Me too, please. Marcus poured. Thank you, Daddy. Then Lily. And me. Of course, baby. Thank you, Daddy. 3 girls. 3 voices. After 18 months of silence. Marcus couldn't stop crying. He didn't try to hide it. He just let the tears fall while he poured syrup and passed napkins and sat with his daughters for breakfast. Eleanor found him afterward sitting alone in the kitchen, his head in his hands. "Mr. Bennett, are you all right?" "They talked to me, Eleanor. They asked for syrup and said thank you. They talked to me." Eleanor's hand went to her heart. "Oh, my Lord. It's working. Whatever I'm doing, it's working. You're being present. That's what's working." Marcus looked up at her. "Denise is coming tomorrow. I told her about the progress. She agreed to visit." Eleanor's face lit up. "That's wonderful news." "I'm nervous. What if I mess it up again? What if I say the wrong thing?" "You probably will. You're human. But the difference is, now you'll try to fix it. Now you'll stay and work through it instead of running away." "How do you know that?" "Because you're still here. 5 days, Mr. Bennett. You've been here for 5 days. That's longer than you've stayed home in 18 months. Marcus nodded slowly. She was right. This was already the longest he'd been home since Victoria died. "I can't believe I wasted so much time. So many months. I could have been here with them. I could have been the one to help them heal." "Don't think about what you could have done. Think about what you're doing now. That's all that matters." Marcus spent the rest of the day preparing for Saturday. He cleaned the kitchen himself. He went to the store and bought ingredients for a real breakfast. Eggs, bacon, fresh fruit, the good orange juice, not the cheap stuff. He asked Eleanor what the girls liked to eat, what games they liked to play, what books they liked to read. "You should know this," Eleanor said gently. "You're their father." "I know, but I don't. I was never here long enough to learn." She told him everything. Their favorite colors, their favorite songs, the way Lily liked to be tucked in, the way Grace needed a nightlight, the way Hope always slept with her rabbit. Marcus wrote it all down, like he was studying for an exam, like his life depended on it, because it did. His life and theirs. That night he went to the girls' room to say goodnight. They were already in their beds, matching pink pajamas, matching stuffed animals. "Hey, babies, just wanted to say goodnight." They looked at him, waiting. Marcus walked to Lily's bed first. He pulled the covers up to her chin the way Eleanor said she liked. "Good night, Lily. I love you." She didn't respond, but she didn't pull away either. He moved to Grace's bed, made sure the nightlight was on. "Good night, Grace. I love you." A tiny nod, almost invisible. Then Hope. He tucked her rabbit in beside her. "Good night, Hope. I love you." "Good night, Daddy." Those 2 words, spoken softly, almost shyly, but spoken. Marcus had to grip the door frame to stay upright. "See you in the morning, babies." He turned off the main light and left the door cracked open. The way they liked it. The way Victoria used to do it. In the hallway, he finally let himself break down. Happy tears. Grateful tears. The tears of a man who had been given a second chance he didn't deserve. Day 6. Saturday. Marcus was up at 4 in the morning. He couldn't sleep. His heart was racing with anticipation and fear. At 6, he started cooking. Pancakes, eggs, bacon, toast, everything he could think of. At 8, he cleaned up his mess and cleaned it again. At 9, the girls came downstairs. They were wearing the magenta dresses, the same ones they'd worn the day everything fell apart. Marcus's breath caught. "You look beautiful," he said. "All 3 of you." Lily almost smiled. At 9:30, Marcus heard a car in the driveway. His heart stopped. Eleanor appeared in the doorway. "She's here." Marcus walked to the front door. His legs felt like jelly. His hands were shaking. He opened it. Denise stood on the porch. She was wearing a simple blue dress. Her hair was pulled back. She looked nervous, uncertain, but she was there. "Hi," Marcus said. "Thank you for coming." "I almost didn't." Her voice was quiet. "I sat in my car for 10 minutes trying to convince myself to drive away." "What made you stay?" "I don't know. Something told me I needed to be here." Footsteps behind Marcus. Small, fast, desperate. He turned. The girls were running. All three of them, running toward the door. "Miss Denise!" They crashed into her so hard she stumbled backward, but she caught herself, dropped to her knees, and wrapped her arms around all three of them. "Oh, my babies. My sweet, sweet babies." They were crying. All four of them. Tears streaming down their faces, arms wrapped tight around each other. "We missed you so much." "I missed you too. Every single day." "We thought you weren't coming back." "I'm here. I'm right here." Marcus watched from the doorway. His own eyes were wet. His heart was so full it hurt. This was what love looked like, not buildings or deals or money. This. People who showed up, people who stayed. Denise looked up at him over the girls' heads. "1 hour," she asked. "Stay as long as you want." She nodded, then turned back to the girls. "Now I heard your daddy has been making pancakes. Are they any good?" Hope giggled. Actually giggled. "They're kind of burned." "Well, let's go see what we can do about that." She stood up, holding Hope's hand. Lily and Grace grabbed her other hand. Together, they walked toward the kitchen. Marcus followed, watching, learning, being present. 1 hour turned into 2. 2 turned into 4. By lunchtime, Denise was still there. The girls hadn't let go of her once. They sat on her lap, played with her hair, showed her every drawing they'd made since she left. And they talked, constantly, about everything. "Miss Denise Daddy made us pancakes every day." "He did. That's wonderful." "They were bad at first, but they got better." "Practice makes perfect." "He stayed home too, every day. He didn't go on any trips." Denise looked at Marcus. Something shifted in her eyes. "Is that true?" "I canceled everything. For the whole month, I'm not leaving." "What about your business, your deals?" "They can wait. This can't." Denise held his gaze for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. "Eleanor told me you've been sleeping in the study, that you gave up your bedroom because it reminds you of your wife. Eleanor talks too much. She cares about you. We all do." Marcus didn't know what to say, so he said nothing. Denise turned back to the girls. "What do you say we make some cookies? I know a recipe my grandmother taught me. They're the best cookies in the whole world." "Yes." They spent the afternoon baking. Flour everywhere. Chocolate chips stolen by small hands. Laughter filling the kitchen. Marcus helped where he could. Mostly he just watched, learned, absorbed. This is what I missed, he thought. This is what I gave up for meetings and deals and money that means nothing. At 5 o'clock, Denise checked her watch. "I should probably go. Jalen will be wondering where I am." The girls' faces fell. "No, please stay." "I'll come back. I promise." "When?" Denise looked at Marcus. "When would you like me to come back?" "Tomorrow. The next day. Every day. Whenever you can." She studied his face, searching for something. "You really mean that?" "I do. No more trips. No more 80-hour weeks. No more." Denise took a deep breath. "Then I'll come back. Tomorrow. And we'll figure the rest out from there." "Thank you, Denise, for everything." She smiled. The first real smile she'd given him since that terrible day in the kitchen. "Don't thank me yet, Mr. Bennett. The hard work is just beginning." She hugged each of the girls, kissed their foreheads, promised to see them tomorrow. Then she walked to the door. Marcus followed her outside. "Denise?" She turned. "I know I said this before, but I need to say it again. I'm sorry. For everything. For the way I treated you. For the things I said. For the man I've been. I know you're sorry. But sorry doesn't fix things. Then what does? Time. Consistency. Showing up every day and proving that you've changed. Not with words, but with actions. I can do that. We'll see. She walked to her car, opened the door. Mr. Bennett. Yes. Those girls in there. They're the bravest people I've ever met. They lost their mother, their voices, their sense of safety. And they're still trying, still hoping, still loving. She got in the car. Don't let them down. Denise came back the next day, and the day after that, and every day for the next 2 weeks. Something was changing in that house. Something real. Marcus kept his promise. He was there every morning for breakfast, every evening for dinner, every night for bedtime stories. He stopped checking his phone, stopped thinking about work, stopped running. The girls blossomed. First came the words, then the laughter, then the songs. They started calling Denise Auntie Denise without anyone suggesting it. They started calling Marcus Daddy again, not with fear, but with love. But there was still a wall between them. A hesitation. The girls would hug Denise freely, climb onto her lap without asking whisper secrets in her ear. With Marcus, they were careful, polite, like they were still waiting for him to disappear. 1 month after Denise's return, Marcus found himself sitting in his study late at night. Victoria's photograph was in his hands. I don't know how to reach them, he whispered to her image. I'm here every day. I'm trying everything, but they still don't trust me. Not really. He heard a soft knock on the door. Come in. Eleanor entered. She looked tired, but determined. Mr. Bennett, we need to talk. It's late, Eleanor. This can't wait. She sat across from him, her hands folded in her lap. The girls had a conversation today. I overheard them in the playroom. Marcus's heart clenched. What did they say? They were talking about their mother, about how much they miss her, about how scared they are that everyone they love will leave. But I'm not leaving. I've been here every day for a month. I know that, and they know that too in their heads, but their hearts haven't caught up yet. Marcus set down the photograph. What am I supposed to do? Talk to them about her. What? Victoria, you never talk about her. Not to them, not to anyone. You've locked her memory away like it's something to be ashamed of. But those girls need to know it's okay to remember. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to talk about their mother without feeling like they're making you sad. Marcus felt his chest tighten. It hurts too much. I know it does. But you're not the only one hurting. And until you show them that it's safe to feel pain, they'll keep holding back. She stood up. Good night, Mr. Bennett. Think about what I said. She left. Marcus sat alone in the darkness for a long time. The next morning he made a decision. At breakfast, after the pancakes were eaten and the dishes were cleared, Marcus didn't get up from the table. Girls, can you stay for a minute? I want to talk to you about something. Lily looked at her sisters. That silent communication again. They stayed. Marcus took a deep breath. I want to tell you about your mother. The words hung in the air like a held breath. Hope's eyes went wide. Grace clutched the edge of the table. Lily's face was unreadable. I know I don't talk about her. I know it seems like I've forgotten her. But I haven't. I think about her every single day. I just didn't know how to say it out loud. Why not, Daddy? Grace's voice was barely a whisper. Because it hurts. When I talk about her, I feel the missing. I feel the hole in my chest where she used to be. And I thought if I didn't talk about it, maybe it wouldn't hurt so much. Did it work? Lily asked. No, baby. It didn't work. The hurt was still there. I just couldn't share it with anyone. And that made me lonely. And that loneliness made me run away from you. Hope climbed down from her chair. She walked around the table and stood in front of Marcus. Daddy. Yes, baby. I hurt too. Marcus felt his heart shatter. I know you do, sweetheart. I know. Sometimes I forget what Mommy's voice sounds like, and that makes me scared. Me too. Grace's voice cracked. I forget her smell. She smelled like flowers. Jasmine. Marcus's voice was thick with tears. She wore jasmine perfume. It was her favorite. I forget her face sometimes. Lily was crying now. In my dreams she's blurry, like she's going away. Marcus opened his arms. Come here, all of you, come here. They came, all three of them. They climbed onto his lap, wrapped their arms around his neck, pressed their faces against his chest. And for the first time since Victoria died, they cried together. Not alone, not in separate rooms, together. I'm so sorry, Marcus sobbed. I'm so sorry I left you. I'm so sorry I wasn't here. It's okay, Daddy. Lily's voice was muffled against his shirt. No, it's not okay. But I'm going to make it better. I promise. Do you promise to stay? I promise to stay. Forever. I'm never leaving again. Hope pulled back and looked at him with those hazel eyes. Victoria's eyes. Pinky promise? Marcus held out his pinky. Pinky promise. She wrapped her tiny finger around his. Me too. Grace added her pinky. Me too. Lily. 4 pinkies linked together. A promise that meant more than any contract Marcus had ever signed. Denise found them like that an hour later, still tangled together at the breakfast table, tears drying on their faces, but smiling. She stopped in the doorway, her hand on her heart. Well, she said softly. Looks like I missed something important. Marcus looked up at her. We talked about Victoria. I can see that. Auntie Denise. Hope jumped down and ran to her. Daddy told us about Mommy's perfume. It was jasmine. Is that right? And he promised to stay forever. Pinky promise. Denise's eyes met Marcus's across the room. That's a big promise. It's the only one that matters. Something shifted between them in that moment. The last wall. The final hesitation. It crumbled. Well then, Denise said, I guess we better start making some plans. Plans? If you're staying forever, there are some things we need to do. First, those girls need to start school soon. They're almost 5. Second, they need to see a real therapist. Someone who specializes in childhood trauma. Third, she walked to the table and sat down. Third, we need to talk about what happens next. With me. Marcus felt his heart speed up. What do you mean? I can't keep coming here as the maid, Mr. Bennett. Not anymore. Things have changed. We've all changed. Then what do you want? I want to finish my degree. I want to become a real teacher. I want to build something of my own. Okay, I'll pay for it. Whatever you need. I'm not finished. Her voice was firm. I also want to stay. With the girls. With this family. But not as staff. As something else. As what? Denise looked at the girls. At their hopeful faces. At the way they were holding their breath. I don't know yet, but something more. Marcus nodded slowly. Then we'll figure it out together. Together. Yes, together. 2 months passed. The house was different now. Not just quieter or louder. Different in the way it breathed. In the way it felt when you walked through the door. Marcus had restructured his entire business. He worked from home most days. When he had to go to the office, it was never for more than a few hours. He was there for every meal, every bedtime, every scraped knee and bad dream. The girls started preschool. A small private school 20 minutes from the house. They were nervous at first, clinging to Denise and Marcus at drop-off. But by the second week, they were running in without looking back. They were healing. All of them. Denise enrolled full-time at the community college. She took morning classes while the girls were in school. Marcus hired a tutor to help her with the coursework she'd missed. You don't have to do this, she told him one evening. Pay for everything. I can take out loans like everyone else. I want to do this. You gave my daughters their lives back. This is the least I can do. It's too much. It's not enough. It will never be enough." She looked at him for a long moment. "Why do you care so much about me? About my degree? About my future?" Marcus didn't know how to answer. Or maybe he did, but he was afraid to say it out loud. "Because you're family now. Whether you wanted to be or not. You're part of this." Denise's eyes filled with tears. "Nobody's ever said that to me before. Not since Michelle died." "Well, get used to it. Because you're stuck with us." She laughed. A real laugh. The first one he'd heard from her. "Stuck with a billionaire and 3 little girls who call me auntie. There are worse fates." Much worse. 3 months later, Marcus did something he never thought he'd do. He sold the company. Not all of it. Just the parts that required constant travel. The international holdings. The development projects overseas. He kept the Manhattan properties, the ones he could manage from home. His lawyers thought he was crazy. "You're walking away from hundreds of millions of dollars." "No, I'm walking toward something worth more." They didn't understand. They never would. But Marcus understood now. Finally. The day the sale closed, he came home and found the girls in the backyard with Denise. They were planting something in the garden. Their hands were covered in dirt. Their faces were glowing. "Daddy." Hope saw him first. "Come see what we're doing." He walked across the lawn and knelt beside them. "What are we planting?" "Sunflowers." Lily's voice was excited. "Auntie Denise said Mommy loved them." Marcus felt his throat tighten. She did. She loved them very much. "Why?" Grace was asking questions again. Hundreds of them, every day. It was the most beautiful sound Marcus had ever heard. She said sunflowers always turn toward the light. No matter how dark things get, they keep reaching for the sun. "Like us," Hope said softly. Marcus pulled her close. "Yes, baby, exactly like us." Denise stood up, brushing dirt from her knees. "The girls wanted to surprise you. We've been planning this for weeks. It's perfect. There's something else, too." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small envelope. "My grades came in. I made the dean's list." Marcus's face broke into a smile. "Denise, that's amazing." "It's because of you, the tutors, the support, everything." "No, it's because of you. You did the work. You showed up. You never gave up." She looked down at the envelope. "I used to dream about this, getting an education, making something of myself, but I never thought it would actually happen." "Why not?" "Because good things don't happen to people like me. That's what I always believed. We work hard, we survive, but we don't thrive. That's for other people, rich people, lucky people." Marcus took her hand. She didn't pull away. "Denise, you are the strongest, most remarkable person I've ever met. You raised your nephew while working and grieving. You brought my daughters back to life when everyone else had given up. You deserve every good thing that comes your way." Tears slipped down her cheeks. "I don't know how to believe that." "Then let me believe it for you, until you can believe it yourself." She nodded slowly. "Okay. Okay. Okay." 6 months later. The sunflowers had grown tall, bright yellow faces turned toward the sky. The girls measured them every day, marking their progress on a chart in the kitchen. Denise had moved into the guest house on the property. It made sense, she said. Closer to the girls. Easier for everyone. Marcus suspected she was also tired of commuting from Harlem every day. Jalen had started college himself. A basketball scholarship to Syracuse. He visited on weekends when he could, and the girls treated him like a big brother. Marcus watched his family grow. Not the family he'd planned for, not the family he'd imagined when he married Victoria, but a family nonetheless. One evening he found Denise sitting alone in the garden. The sun was setting, painting everything gold. "Mind if I sit?" "It's your garden." "It's our garden now." She smiled slightly and moved over on the bench. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the sunflowers sway in the breeze. "Can I tell you something?" Denise asked finally. "Anything. I was so angry at you. For months. Even after I came back. Every time I looked at you, I remembered that day in the kitchen. The way you made me feel. Like I was nothing." Marcus's chest tightened. "I know. I'm sorry. I know you are. But that's not what I wanted to tell you." She turned to face him. "I'm not angry anymore. I haven't been for a while now, and I think I finally understand why you did what you did." "Why?" "Because you were broken. Because you saw me doing something you should have been doing, and it made you feel like a failure. Because grief makes us do terrible things sometimes." "That's not an excuse." "No, it's not. But it's a reason. And reasons matter." She reached out and took his hand. "You've changed, Marcus. Really changed. Not just on the surface, deep down. In the ways that count." It was the first time she'd called him Marcus instead of Mr. Bennett. "I had good teachers. Those girls. And you." Denise was quiet for a moment. "Victoria would be proud of you." Marcus felt tears sting his eyes. "You think so? I know so. The man you've become. The father you're being. That's the man she married. The man she believed in." "I wish she could see it." "Maybe she can. Maybe she's watching right now, seeing her sunflowers grow, seeing her daughters laugh, seeing you finally become the person you were always meant to be." Marcus looked at the sky. The last rays of sunlight were fading. "I hope so. I really hope so." 1 year. 1 full year since the day Marcus came home and destroyed everything. 1 year since Denise walked out his door with her head high and her heart broken. So much had changed. The girls were 5 now, thriving in kindergarten, making friends, learning to read, asking questions about everything, singing songs at the top of their lungs. They still talked about Victoria, every day. But now it was different. Not painful silences and avoided topics. Real conversations, memories, stories, laughter about the funny things she used to do. Marcus had kept his promise, every single day. He hadn't missed a breakfast, hadn't missed a bedtime, hadn't taken a single business trip. His empire had shrunk, but his life had grown. On the anniversary of Victoria's death, Marcus took the girls to visit her grave. They brought yellow roses, her favorites. Denise came too. She stood a little apart, giving them space. "Hi, Mommy." Lily placed her rose on the headstone. "We miss you." "But we're okay now." Grace added hers. "Daddy takes care of us. And Auntie Denise too." Hope's voice was bright. "She makes the best cookies." Marcus knelt beside the grave. His hand trembled as he touched the cold stone. "Hey, Victoria. It's been a year, the hardest year of my life, but also the best." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "I finally understand what you were trying to tell me. All those years. When you said I needed to be present. When you said the girls needed me, not my money. I understand now." Tears rolled down his cheeks. "I'm sorry I didn't listen sooner. I'm sorry I wasted so much time. But I promise you I'm making up for it now. Every single day." He looked back at Denise. She was watching him with tears in her own eyes. "Someone amazing is helping me. Someone you would have loved. She saved our daughter's Victoria. She saved me. I don't know what would have happened without her." He stood up slowly. "I'll never forget you. None of us will. But we're learning to live again. To love again. I hope that's okay with you." The wind rustled through the trees. Soft. Gentle. Almost like an answer. Hope tugged at his hand. "Daddy, can we show Mommy our sunflower picture?" "Of course, baby." She pulled out a folded piece of paper from her pocket. A drawing of their garden. Yellow sunflowers reaching for the sky. 4 stick figures standing among them. No, 5 stick figures. The 5th one had wings. That's Mommy, Hope explained. She's in heaven, but she's still with us. Auntie Denise says people we love never really leave. They just become part of us. Marcus couldn't speak. His throat was too tight. Lily took the drawing and placed it under a rock by the headstone. Now Mommy can see it every day. That's perfect, baby. Just perfect. They stood there together. 3 little girls. Their father. The woman who had become their second chance. A family. Broken and rebuilt. Scarred but whole. As they walked back to the car, Denise fell into step beside Marcus. Thank you for letting me be here today. Thank you for being part of this. Part of us. She slipped her hand into his. I didn't plan for this, you know. Any of it. Coming to your house. Loving those girls. Falling. She stopped herself. Falling. Marcus's heart pounded. Denise looked up at him. Falling in love with this family. All of it. Including you. Marcus stopped walking. The girls ran ahead, chasing each other through the grass. Denise. You don't have to say anything. I know it's complicated. I know there's history. I know Victoria will always be part of your heart. She will. But that doesn't mean there isn't room for more. Denise's eyes widened. What are you saying? I'm saying that you saved my life. You saved my daughters. You showed me what it means to really love someone. And somewhere along the way, I started loving you too. Marcus, I'm not asking for anything. I'm not expecting anything. I just wanted you to know. Whatever happens from here, you should know that you are loved. By those girls. By me. By this family you helped create. Denise stood there, tears streaming down her face. Then she reached up and put her hands on his face. You're not the same man who fired me a year ago. No, I'm not. You're better. I'm trying to be. She pulled him close and kissed him. Soft, tender, full of promise. The girls noticed. They ran back shrieking with delight. Daddy and Auntie Denise are kissing. Does this mean you're getting married? Can we be flower girls? Marcus laughed. A real laugh. The first one in years. One thing at a time, babies. One thing at a time. But as he looked at Denise, at his daughters, at the life he had almost thrown away, he knew the answer already. Yes. To all of it. To whatever came next. Because he had learned the hardest lesson of all. The lesson Victoria had been trying to teach him for 23 years. True wealth isn't what you build, it's who you become. And the most valuable thing in this life isn't success or money or power. It's love that stays, even in the silence, even in the darkness, even when everything seems lost. Love that stays. Marcus Bennett had been a billionaire. He had built an empire from nothing. He had conquered Manhattan, dominated boardrooms, closed deals worth hundreds of millions. But none of that mattered now. What mattered was the hand in his, the daughters at his feet, the woman who had shown him what it meant to be present. What mattered was this moment, this family, this second chance he never deserved but had been given anyway. The sunflowers would keep growing, the girls would keep singing, life would keep moving forward, and Marcus would be there for all of it. Finally. Forever. Home.